I think I'm going to title this one, Which House Do You Live In? For those of you who don't know that there is a fairy tale, because I understand I'm speaking to the world, there's a fairy tale that's being told to children here in the West, and it's about three little pigs. And the whole premise of the whole thing is that there's this big bad wolf that goes around blowing down houses and eating the pigs. And you have some pigs that were trying to run away from the big bad wolf. And one pig lived in a straw house. The big bad wolf came along, blew it away. And in the original fairy tale, he ate the pig. But of course, we're living in politically correct times, so that part has been removed. The second pig built a stronger house. It was made of wood or sticks. It depends on how they phrase the fairy tale in the book. And the wolf had to blow a little harder, but eventually he wound up knocking down that house as well, and he ate the pig. Now, there are two versions to the end of this. Like I said, the first two pigs were eaten in the original version, but the politically correct version has it where the two pigs whose houses were blown down went to the pig to build the brick house. He was a smart one. Took him a little while longer to build that house. And while he was taking his time building that house and the other little pigs were in their house, they were talking smack about how he was taking so long and why are you doing all that and blah, blah, blah. But when crisis came, they wound up going over to the pig's house that had the bricks. So then the wolf came over there, and I guess he figured, well, I'm on a roll. So he went over to the brick house, and he kept blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing, and eventually he passed out because, he couldn't knock the brick house down. So that made me think about life. What kind of house are you living in? Are you living in a straw house where the minute that there is some kind of trouble comes, the minute that proverbial big bad wolf comes along, whether it's a failed relationship or a disease or some sort of economic failure or educational failure or death, when that big bad wolf comes around, all of a sudden your house is gone? Are you in a stick house, which I would say the majority of us had lived in stick houses, where you were able to endure for a little while, but after a while it got a little bit too hot in the kitchen and the big bad wolf came along and blew your house down? Or are you in the brick house? Are you the person that just took a little while longer to establish a foundation in what you needed? And in the meantime, the people in the stick houses and in the straw houses were making fun of you, poking fun of you, didn't understand your vision, didn't understand what was going on, was wondering why you didn't have it all figured out by the time you were 21 years old. Maybe it wasn't meant for you to fulfill your purpose at 21. But you can't tell people in the world that. So they're sitting here and they're criticizing you. 30 years past, all of a sudden you're in your 30s, your 40s, 50s, 60s. We hear stories all the time of people where nobody heard anything about them until they were over 60 years old. Because it wasn't time for them to fulfill their purpose. Maybe they needed to get their feet and hands dirty. Maybe it was time for them to go out into the world and gain some experience so that way when they presented their gifts, they could do it in a way that benefits a lot of people. These people lived in brick houses, and some of them didn't even know it. So ask yourself, do you live in a straw house? Do you live in a stick house? Or do you live in a brick house? It's not too late to change the architecture of your house. So with that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. This is a short one. I grant you protection, power, peace, and prosperity.